Welcome to Beyond the Pom Poms, the first live interview style web or TV series produced to showcase pro cheerleaders and alum. I'm your host, Austin Jordan, and it is my great pleasure to introduce my lovely co-host, as you can see down there in the bottom of the screen, and current NFL cheerleader, Miss Selina Samano. Hey, Selina, what's up?
Hey, Austin. Thanks so much for the introduction, and I want to say hello to everybody watching. Thank you so much for tuning in week after week. In case you noticed, last week Austin and I actually did not have an episode of Beyond the Pom Poms because we had a nice little Jordan Entertainment family reunion. So I got to meet Austin, I got to meet Nova, and I got to meet the real McCoy Jordan. So it's really excited to be able to pick it up because we've got a fantastic guest for you tonight. She's dabbled in a little bit of everything. So, Austin, why don't you introduce our guest?
My pleasure and my honor. And as Selina mentioned, it was great to kind of be off for a week and kind of hook up and all that kind of fun stuff and have a good time with the family. But we do have a fantastic guest. This lady is just simply amazing. She's cheered in the NBA for the Phoenix Suns. She's also cheered in the NFL for the Arizona Cardinals. She is a very successful on-air talent, which we will get into a little more here later on in the show. So without further ado, Miss Danielle Kamela. Hello, Danielle. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. So nice to be here. I'm really excited.
Well, we are completely and totally honored to have you, obviously. Very, very excited to learn about your experiences being a Cardinals cheerleader and Suns dancer, of course. But if you could, let's first kind of dive into your background a little bit and let everybody out there know a little bit more about you and what led to these amazing cheerleading and dancing in the NBA and in the NFL. So if you could, did you come from a dance background? Did you cheer in high school? If you could just kind of give us anything that to enlighten us.
Well, I actually was a competitive gymnast growing up. So I did that for about 8 years. And then I also was a competitive diver. So it's not necessarily super dance-based, but, you know, when you're in gymnastics, you are dancing a little bit. So that's kind of my background. So everything I've learned since then has been self-taught. But I did go into cheerleading in high school, and then I didn't cheer in college. But I really did want to continue doing something. So that's why I decided to audition to be a professional cheerleader. So it was pretty difficult just because I wasn't, trained in dance, but I persevered and I, self-taught myself a lot of things. So yeah, that was kind of my background before becoming a professional cheerleader. So
that's really cool. Danielle, I must say I think you're the first competitive diver that we have on the show, so that's really cool. I think that's the first on Beyond the Pom Pom, so we're going to mark an asterisk next to that and remember that.
Nice.
So I actually have a leading question to that. I know you talked about being a cheerleader in high school and talked about how you wanted to be a professional cheerleader. But if we think of the world of pro cheerleading, is there any reason why you thought about auditioning to be an Arizona Cardinals cheerleader before a Phoenix Suns dancer? Was it just opportunity, timing?
Well, I am born and raised in Arizona, so I love all my Arizona sports teams, but football is my favorite sport. I'm the most knowledgeable about it, so I wanted to be a part of a team that, I knew the most about, that I could relate to the most, and that I personally cheer for. So I do still cheer for the Suns, and I still rooted for the Suns, but I know the most about football. I'm a bigger football fan, so that's why I decided to audition to be a Cardinals cheerleader before a Suns dancer.
Very cool. So let's talk a little bit more about the NFL cheerleading world. What was the audition process like to be an Arizona Cardinals cheerleader?
Well, when I auditioned for the team, I think I was 19 years old, but what a lot of people don't know about my first time auditioning for the Cardinals cheer team is I did not make it the first time around. So I don't tell a lot of people that, but now looking back on it, I'm like, I wasn't ready. I taught myself everything I learned dance-wise, so it was a growing process. And but aside from that, the second time I auditioned, the process was pretty strenuous. It was nerve-wracking for the first time. I came in to tryouts, I think it was a Saturday, and, we did the initial warm-up, get to know everyone, stretch it out, and from there we learned an 8 count and auditioned that 8 count for a panel of judges, and then they made a cut. And from that cut, yeah, right away, like after the first 8 counts. So.
That's not enough time to judge. 8 counts? Come on.
It's not. But we were able to do a little freestyling at the end, so that kind of made me a little bit more comfortable, so I could kind of show off my tumbling since I was a gymnast.
Nice.
So that helped, yeah. And so from there we learned another routine that was more extensive, and then at the end of that, they made another cut for girls to go into training camp. And then basically what training camp was just what your practices would be if you were to make the team. So I think we had maybe 2 nights, Tuesday and Thursday, of training camp, and then we came back on Saturday. We had an interview and a final audition, and then you had to wait, I think, until the following week to call in and find out if you had made the team. So it was scary, like waiting around that long to find out, but yeah, it was good. I remember when I found out I was on the team, I was so ecstatic, to make it, especially not making it before. So, yeah.
So really quickly, Danielle, I want to say thank you so much for disclosing that piece of information about not making the squad the first time. Because, as we talk about on Beyond the Pom Poms, we try very much to, support, educate, and inspire other girls. Yeah. And, I think that we know that in professional cheerleading, it's, if it's one day to the next, a judge's decision on who gets cut and who makes the team can change just on a day's notice. So I'm very thankful that you shared that, because I know that there's a lot of girls listening that, as we're going through NFL cheerleading auditions, didn't really make the squad this year. But, it's nice to hear your story and to hear that you ultimately did achieve your goal. So on that note, why don't you tell us a little bit about how long you cheered for the Cardinals?
I cheered for the Cardinals for 2 seasons, so it went by really fast, but it was an amazing 2 seasons. I made a lot of awesome friends and, had a lot of good experiences. So.
Yeah. So, hearing you talk about everything that you had leading up to becoming a professional cheerleader, knowing what I know about you currently and everything you juggle, I know that you're good at this. But can you backtrack a little bit and tell us about what your day-to-day life looked like being a professional cheerleader for the Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, well, I was not good at it before, I can tell you that. But it was definitely hard to get used to it, but I was a full-time student at the time, and then I was also teaching gymnastics and dance. So it was hard at first. You have to worry about, staying in shape, so you need to fit in workouts and then going to class, balancing my other job. I had to have a routine, which is not my personality. I kind of like to do whatever I want whenever. So actually, yeah, right?
Yeah, definitely me. That sums me up really well.
Yeah. So having a routine where I knew, this is the time that you have to do your homework, and this is the time, when you work, when you teach dance. It basically just came down to scheduling everything in and making sure I was on top of it. Otherwise, I would get behind in school, or I would miss, deadlines and that kind of thing. So, yeah, time management is definitely difficult, but I worked it out.
Well,
and what about game days?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, my gosh. Well, game days were the best just because I tried to get all my schoolwork done before Sundays so I could kind of just, let everything else go and enjoy what I was doing. So, but yeah, game days, you arrive at the stadium like 4 hours early before the game, maybe even more. That was kind of a long time ago, but yeah, you arrive like 4 or 5 hours earlier. You have to get ready. You do appearances where you're meeting and greeting fans before the game, and you do a run-through on the field, which is always nice to be able to know, okay, like I'm ready. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to perform it, and then go from there. So, yeah, being able to cheer at University of Phoenix Stadium in front of that crowd was amazing. I have to say that we have the best fans. Arizona does. So,
Oh, Danielle, you know that I beg to differ.
Yes, you do.
I will swear up and down that Cincinnati has the best fans, but because you're a guest on the show, I am not going to argue. The conversation ends there.
That's wonderful.
Well, see, you guys could just agree that they both, like the AFC fans are the best for the Bengals, and the NFC fans are the best for the Cardinals. You could just do that, and that way you both win because you end up in the Super Bowl. Now,
No, that's a good compromise. I like that.
yeah,
Okay,
no cat fights on air here, ladies. We'll save that for before or after the show. How's that sound? Anyway, speaking of the best fans and being very, very successful and playing at a high level, Bengals, you got to experience something very, very good. Well, good is not even nearly strong enough. It's something that is my NFL reputation precedes me, and I have never done this or been to this event. So, if you could you share with us what I'm talking about and talk about that experience and share the unthinkable. It's like heaven for football. So, if you could, please.
Yes, I had the wonderful opportunity to have a Super Bowl season my first year as an Arizona Cardinals cheerleader. So I believe that was in 2009, and we played the Steelers, who obviously I despise the Steelers. And we all know they don't have cheerleaders, right? So we already don't like them even more so. But
I think Selina would agree with you about not liking the Steelers, even though her best friend, we won't get into it. So,
oh no,
that was another show. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Danielle. Please.
Yeah, it was. Oh my gosh, it was absolutely incredible. I think when I think about that Super Bowl game that I was able to be on the sidelines for, I think about the NFC Championship game, which was at home, and when we actually won and we found out that we were going to the Super Bowl. It was just the most, amazing feeling, especially being an actual, passionate football fan. Your team's going to the biggest game it could ever go to that year. So it was incredible. And we were in Tampa Bay. That's where the Super Bowl was that season. It was Super Bowl 43. Just the atmosphere in the stadium was crazy. And, you just feed off the fans. And the Steelers, since they didn't have cheerleaders, we were the only cheerleaders on the field, which was kind of nice. But yeah, it was absolutely incredible, and it didn't end the way I would have liked it to. We did not win, but it was an unforgettable experience.
Kurt Warner.
I know. Oh man, I miss Kurt Warner.
I had to, that interception. So, yeah, okay. Anyway, I'll shut up. I'm interrupting you guys. Go ahead, Selina. I know you've got a question for her, a burning question. I can see it in your eyes. Let's hear it.
Okay, so we talked about you being an NFL cheerleader, but now I'd really like for us to talk about your experience with the Phoenix Suns. Last week we had our first NBA dancer, so we're kind of starting to dabble more into the NBA dancer scene.
Now, Selina,
awesome.
Bonnie Jill did cheer for the Golden State Warriors, remember?
That's true. This is true.
But we didn't get the opportunity to talk to her about NBA, so we are really just diving into it. Anyway, go ahead, Selina. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay. So why don't you tell us how long you danced for the Suns and what made you decide to try out to be an NBA dancer after being an NFL cheerleader?
Okay, this gets a little bit interesting because as I told you guys, I auditioned for the Cardinals and I did not make it. Great. So after that, naturally, the next audition that comes up is, for NBA dancers, and that was for the Suns. So I auditioned for that as well, and the first time I auditioned for Suns, I didn't make it either.
This is awesome. Love it.
So yeah, I had two experiences where I came in, fresh, new, and where I didn't make it my first time around. So after all that not making the teams, I had my 2 seasons with the Arizona Cardinals, and then from there I wanted to experience something different. I know the styles between NFL cheerleaders and NBA dancers are completely different. And so before I decided, I wanted to hang up my Pom Poms, I was like, I have to go back and audition for the Suns again. So after my second season, I decided, to audition for the Suns, and it was totally different. I was totally out of my element because I'm more of a cheerleader. So it took a lot of hard work for me, but it was definitely worth it. Yeah, the audition process was a lot different from Cardinals. It was a lot harder in my opinion. The first day that we had auditions, we did an across the floor before we had our first cut.
Wow.
Then, yeah. So I'm like, across the floor, like, what is that? You know, I'm not a professional dancer. So that was interesting. And then we learned a jazz routine, which we had to perform. I think I performed it 5 times that night in front of the judges. So
wow.
It was a lot. And then from there, we had a training camp. But the difference between this training camp and the Cardinals training camp was we learned 2 other routines on top of our jazz audition routine. So Tuesday night, we learned a hip-hop routine. Thursday night, we learned a lyrical routine. And then we came back Saturday, and we performed all 3 routines in front of the judges, like, multiple times. Yeah. So it was crazy. It was so much dancing. And on top of that, we had the interview process and then a photo shoot. So it was a lot. It was difficult for me, but it was a learning experience as a dancer.
Definitely sounds like the Suns are very thorough in their selection, and goodness, that's about the most thorough thing we've heard, I think, since being on the show. Definitely. Anyway, sorry. I love interrupting you guys. You guys are just fun. I'm having a good time. Hope everybody watching's having a great time. We'll just let our hair down and just have a blast. Anyway, sorry, Selina. I know you're going. I'm just being crazy tonight.
It's okay. It's okay. Join the party.
Yeah.
So, Danielle, you kind of talked about, you touched upon how different the audition process was. Mm-hmm. And as Austin mentioned, it does sound like the Phoenix Suns were extremely thorough with how they went about cuts and how they determined the final squad. So why don't you, I know that we talked about this for your schedule with the Arizona Cardinals. Why don't you tell us what your schedule looked like with the Phoenix Suns? Because I know that in the basketball season there are so many more games.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the fact that they have so many games. There would be weeks when we would have, a game Monday, practice Tuesday, game Wednesday, practice Thursday, and then a game Saturday. So it was definitely more time-consuming. So I feel as an NBA dancer, at the end of the season, I was kind of burned out. Not in a way where I still wasn't having fun, but it's so many games and it's so many practices, and I was still a student when I was an NBA dancer. I think it was my senior year, and during my senior year I had to make up some credits because I didn't necessarily do them when I should have. Yeah, so I had a full load, so that was difficult. But I mean, when it comes down to the differences between being an NFL cheerleader and an NBA dancer, I think the main difference is that the NBA is more dance-based, and that's why we had to audition different types of routines. We had to know how to do hip-hop. We had to know how to do jazz. You have to know all the certain styles, whereas in the NFL, it's more cheer-based because you're cheering in a stadium where there's people in the nosebleeds, to where if you're doing little intricate moves, they're not going to be able to see it. You have to be big, Yeah, you have to be big and precise. So those are some of the differences that I noticed between the two.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I knowing what I know about you, and now what our audience knows about you, I'd like to think that being a pro cheerleader and a professional dancer has helped you become the woman that you are today. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you think that these professional titles helped influence you into the successful woman that you are today?
And what you're doing today as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that I, have experienced so much personal growth from when I first, became a professional cheerleader to the point in my life that I'm at now. When I first made the team, I was 19, I was immature, I was irresponsible, and I think I've learned, along the way that you have to be responsible with specific jobs like this. With being a professional cheerleader, you have to be on time. You have to manage your time wisely, like we were talking about earlier. Learning, to deal with other women, because sometimes that can be difficult, as, all of us women know.
Men know that too. Just for the record, men know it too.
That's true.
Sorry.
That's true.
It was too easy. I had to go there, Danielle. I apologize.
Okay, everyone knows that. I'll just say that. Everyone knows that.
Hey, men are difficult to deal with too. I know just as many diva men as I do diva women.
That's true.
Anyway,
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please.
No, so yeah, I've learned a lot of life lessons. I know there's been different appearances or different practices where I've been late, and I've just looked at myself and been like, okay, this isn't something you can do. This isn't, you have to stay on top of things. So I've definitely become more responsible, and, it's taught me a lot of life lessons. But aside from that, another reason why I did choose to audition to be a professional cheerleader is because as young back as I can remember, when I was little, I've always dreamed of being a sports broadcaster. And so I wanted to be around that industry and be able to do something I enjoyed doing at the same time. So when I was working for the Phoenix Suns, I did some camera work for them, and I had an opportunity to audition for a position that I work in today with Fox Sports Arizona. So what I do now is I'm a Fox Sports Arizona girl, and what that is basically I am the fans' connection from Arizona sports to Fox Sports Arizona. So we have girls in every region where there is a Fox Sports, and we basically get on social media, we keep fans updated with all of our local teams, and then we do on-air commercials as well, and we make it out and do different charity events. So it's been awesome to be able to transfer over from being a professional cheerleader to supporting all of my hometown teams through Fox Sports Arizona. So that's what I'm doing now, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys are quite popular on Facebook, I noticed, and I don't know. There's 3 of you there in Arizona. Is that correct?
Yes, there's 3 of us. So a lot of regions have between 2 and 3 girls.
Yeah, you guys have the power of 3. What was that show that was the power of 3? The 3 witches? Okay, then never mind.
Yeah.
I'm way too old. Charmed. Alyssa Milano and all that crew. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, we're missing another attractive girl on the show to be Charmed. Okay, whatever. 2 will do. Anyway, so you did talk about, your sports broadcasting. And I personally, since I'm in the entertainment world and live behind the scenes, I've been nosy and dove into some things, and see you have a little bit of acting experience as well. Is acting something you kind of want to pursue, or do you have some ideas or things on the horizon that you may want to share with us, or that you're allowed to share with us? We all know how NFL teams can be with secret information, as well as jobs and things of that nature. But obviously, it sounds like broadcast is your passion, which is awesome. I mean, maybe we have the next Aaron Andrews on the show here, Selena. Who knows? But anyway, how are you looking to pursue broadcasting, or are you looking to pursue acting, or just kind of tell us whatever you have on the horizon that you'd like to share? We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, well, I recently started acting probably about a year ago, and so the acting market in Arizona is mostly commercial acting. But I've been, just very blessed to be able to have booked a few different jobs around here. So I've done some Honda commercials, some Ford commercials. I think I did a PetSmart commercial, just a bunch of random jobs. But it's been a lot of fun because I realize being, in sports broadcasting and broadcast in general, that you tend to be a little bit stiff and you tend to fit a mold. So being able to experience acting and take different classes like that has kind of allowed me, to break out of that and to kind of let my personality shine through more. So I do really enjoy the acting as well. And then as far as sports broadcast, it is something I'm super passionate about. I love working in sports, and I love, being able to broadcast that to other people and relay information about something I'm passionate about. So I definitely want to continue in sports broadcasting. And you know, with sports, like, they're always changing. There's always new different things going on. It's nonstop. So that's exciting to me. So yeah, I definitely want to continue growing in that field. So yeah.
Well, that is awesome, and you definitely belong on screen, you know, just by looking at you, opposed to radio. So don't go down the radio. That would be a travesty. But for those of you that don't know, there's a huge market for commercial acting. It's literally, in the entertainment industry, there are two separate things. It's basically screen or commercial. So I mean, it sounds like right now she's getting a lot of commercial, but hey, you know, I mean, let me just do this real quick. Let's see. See this face, everybody out there, all my friends that are in the entertainment industry. I think we could take a flyer on this one. Just call me crazy. Anyway, so Danielle, if you would, you know, obviously we don't want to take up too much of your time. We loved having you. If you would just take a few minutes to kind of self-promote, and let's hopefully get you some more social media flowing. You know how it is. With Selina said it best a long time ago. Without social media, it's almost like you don't exist in today's world, which is crazy but true. So if you would please just kind of self-promote for a few minutes, and we'll do a little write-up and put all your links on the website, and hopefully people visit and start following and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, you can mostly find me on Twitter. That's my favorite social media platform. And my handle is @Danielle, DANIELLE, Kamela, KAMELA. So @Danielle Kamela on Twitter. And then I have an Instagram and a Facebook under the same names, which you can find me at. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so everybody, you definitely got to go do that and check that out. You know, I think I already follow. Yeah, I know I follow. Never mind, that's a stupid guy. All right. Anyway, so Selina, obviously, you know, you're our resident beauty that the guys just fall all over themselves about. In the face of Beyond the Pom Poms. We even have your picture spread everywhere. But if you could, because you need more self-promotion, please, by all means, please. I mean, I am your publicist, so definitely, please. You know, so take a moment to self-promote and share links and all that fun stuff, and it's SS, just remember.
Thank you. So before I do my shameless plug, I just want to say thank you so much, Danielle, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you shared so many insightful and so many bits of quality information that a lot of people, I think, have benefited from hearing, including myself and Austin. So thank you so much. This has been
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you so much. It was great.
Oh, we definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter @SelinaSamano. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/SSSAMANO. Doing a cross check with you, Austin, was that right?
Yeah, I'm being stared at. I see you. Well, anyway, like Selina said, though, Danielle, we do greatly appreciate you coming on the show. It's all about inspiration, inspiring people, educating women that want to be NFL cheerleaders or NBA cheerleaders or NHL ice girls or whatever. But the bottom line of it is about the show is to chase your dreams. It's my philosophy of DBWA, dream, believe, work, achieve. And I personally, I'll be honest, I did not know that you got rejected twice. And came back and were a fighter and chased your dream and accomplished those dreams. So I personally greatly appreciate that as well, and I know Selina does as well, because that's very inspirational. It worked out for you. I mean, goodness gracious, you cheered for the Cardinals for 2 years after being rejected your first year. You cheered in a Super Bowl. I mean, you cheered, you know, you danced for the Suns. So you're obviously an amazing woman. You know, we greatly appreciate you being on the show. So now that I've ranted long enough, I definitely want to thank everybody out there that's watched us live tonight. We always appreciate that. You know, and we always love it if you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that kind of fun stuff. You can obviously find me mostly on Twitter. I'm kind of like Danielle. It kind of, you know, I'm a Google partner, but anyway, Twitter kind of tends to be my go-to, so you can find me there as well. It's @AustinDJordan. But anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. Anybody that watches at a later date, we greatly appreciate it. So on behalf of Danielle, Selina, and myself, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Good night and goodbye. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you.